Hi, I'm Stanley Yang. I'm the CEO of NeuroSky.
Stanley, we are privileged to be with you and here at the headquarters of NeuroSky because we use this technology at Singularity University. Our students love it. But could you give us a brief introduction about what is NeuroSky and what do you have in mind?
NeuroSky is, at the core, we built these biosensor devices that we can translate people's brain waves and also cardio signals and other biosignals into digital signals. So we can provide a lot of human to computer, human to machine interface, as well as reading human conditions and provide digital information for devices to understand how we're feeling, how we're acting, or what condition we're in. In other words, humans have 5 senses. We're trying to create a 6th sense, and I call it the 6th sense is digital.
Interesting. So why are you interested in this area?
Well, in the very beginning, we are a group of very passionate engineers, and I grew up a Star Wars fan. And I really loved the movie Star Wars, and everybody knows this is Force. I wanted to, since I was a kid, I wanted to create technology that is like in the movies. So I found that this sensor, the medical technologies sensing human bodies in the hospital, can be consumerized, can be commercialized. If I shrink them into a chip, build them into small sensors so we can use it in our daily life. And that's what we did. We created these sensors that can detect our brain waves. We translate those brain waves into digital signals of thoughts, or our cardio signal for health tracking, and muscle signals for various different kinds of applications. So the first stop was I wanted to create that force. So we worked with LucasArts and their Uncle Milton, and we created this thing called the Star Wars Force Trainer. And that was our very first product, and that's how the company started.
And is this the beginning of telepathy? Could you say that from here we could keep on improving and having eventually real telepathy?
I don't think our brains are built that way. The human beings are built so that we use our brain to control our body and interact with the world mechanically. So we speak, we gesture, we walk, we talk. So our brains are built in a way that it automatically commands our body. And we really don't think text. So I'm not trying to think. When I'm talking, I'm actually using my brain to command my mouth to speak my thoughts. So it's not like when I think in terms of text. That's just not how we work. So in terms of telepathy, it needs to be translated into text and then translate back too. But our brains don't generate text. We just generate things we want to say, and then we say it mechanically. So there are certain things we can pass these feelings and thoughts, but there are certain things we cannot, at least not within the next foreseeable several years. I don't see that. But we can certainly communicate feelings. Our sensors can detect emotions, feelings. If you are interested, if you really appreciate something that's happening, or you are, for example, scared of something, or you are in fear, all these kind of feelings, certainly there are ways to detect and communicate that.
What kind of technologies involved in this? Could you be a bit more specific? Like technologies, sixth sense?
Yeah, so right now we have 5 senses that we can use as humans to interact with the world and at the same time protect ourselves. For example, if something's very painful, something's very hot, you touch it, you know it's painful, so we avoid that. So we use our 5 senses to interact with each other, interact with the world. At the same time, we use them to protect ourselves. But there are information about our body that we don't know and we don't sense. For example, is your heart healthy? We don't know. right? Until most people, they don't even know until they get a heart attack, because some of these things are, you don't feel any pain until you get a heart attack. But our sensors, through maybe several months of wearing the sensor in a wearable technology setting, can detect, for example, if you're getting into bad health, or we can plot the trend. So that's what I call the sixth sense, because you don't feel these things, some of these pains that you supposedly very bad for you, but you don't feel them, and you don't feel them instantly. Sometimes gradual. So if we have sensors that not only you can wear in the hospital, of course you can do anything in the hospital, but it's very inconvenient in our daily life. If we can build these sensors into a wearable technology form factor, and we can wear them in our daily life, such as a watch or something, then all of a sudden you have this information, and that's what I call your sixth sense, because all of a sudden you have an additional sense to tell you whether you're getting into better health, you're getting into more and more better conditions, or worse conditions. It's really, at this moment in time, our technology doesn't tell us too much. But with our sensors' help, I think we can do that. It's very similar to looking at two cars running down the street. If they're going at the same speed, you cannot tell which car's engine is good, which car's engine is bad. They're both going down the same street. But one car may be very old and the engine's breaking down, the other, but not bad yet, but it's breaking down. The other car could be brand new. But both new cars and old cars can run 60 miles per hour down the street, right? So you don't know which one's good and which one's bad until you open up the hood. We don't have the ability every day to, and in fact we're probably very busy. We don't think of going to the hospital and ask the doctor to look at us on a even monthly basis or even quarterly basis. And most people get a yearly checkup. So your data points very scarce. And what wearable technology and our sensor can do is provide you with more data points that you can know about yourself for both your brain and your physical health. So what makes a human being good? The two sides, your physical health and your mental health. Both have to be healthy to be a good human being. Otherwise you will have some problems. So our sensors not only provide entertainment, and at the same time it can provide feedback to tell you both your brain health and your physical health.
So sensors, and what other technologies that you could?
So basically that's what we built at the core. And from sensors we build technologies that go with the sensors. For example, headsets or wrist wears or necklace or something that you can wear on your body, or even build sensors into the smartphones. We have a customer building them into smartphones you can carry. So somewhere around you. And it could be headsets, earbuds, all the way to put cell phone in your pocket or wearing on your wrist or necklace. So these technology can be used in a very collaborative way. You know, they don't have to be individually functioned, but in a certain way, but they can be very collaborative, and use your smartphone as a central hub to collect this information. And we can provide you with, for example, one of our applications we're providing this year is if you are age 40, but we can know your heart conditions actually 30. That means you're healthy. But if you're age 40 and your heart condition is 50, that's pretty bad, and you probably want to exercise and do that. So we can provide this type of information after you wear these sensors for a few weeks.
We are in Silicon Valley, but outside California and the USA, in which other countries are you selling these devices?
Actually, we're selling them worldwide right now. We have offices basically everywhere in all the major markets. they're being sold in not only in the U.S. and North South Americas. We have Korean market. We have an office in Korea. We have Japan market and China, Europe, Southeast Asia, Australia. So we have been pretty much selling them in almost all the major markets, but I can't say all, but almost all the major markets. Interesting enough, some countries are more in favor of education applications. Some countries are more in favor of health and fitness applications. Some other countries are more into just entertainment functions. So it depends on the location. Our sensors are being used in different ways in different areas.
So the areas of targets are various education applications, health, medical applications, and entertainment. What are the targets maybe in the future you foresee?
Yeah, so these are the major targets that we already targeted and we're doing. There are several other applications and targets that I shouldn't say there are targets. Some of them we don't target, but however it can be applied. For example, we don't target applications that's life-threatening. Okay, so in fact we have several customers who use our sensors, use our technology for life-threatening situations, such as on patients on the operations table to monitor their vital signs when they can't really use the standard equipment to do so. We object to that because we don't want to be, first of all, we don't try to be at the sensor level trying to do serious medical stuff because that's a huge liability and responsibility for that, so I don't advocate that. There are people who try to build our sensors or our technology or gears into some kind of life prevention, life-saving applications, such as 24-hour monitoring for cardio conditions for cardio patients. I really think they should use a full medical device to do that rather than our device. Not that we can't do it, it's just that I feel that there's a lot of responsibility there, and we haven't taken our device through the medical route yet. So I don't think people who are building those type of applications should use. Doesn't mean he's automatically good. He still need to go through the learning process and their check-in points. So I think using our technology and mixed with traditional the teaching methods to enhance each other is much better than just relying one or the other alone.
And where do you see these technologies and NeuroSky in the next 5 years, 10 years? What do you think is the future of this?
Yeah, I get asked a lot with this question. Basically, I'd like to see, and I think this is a trend, if you look at the technology that we experienced in the past several decades. Take PC, for example. It took PCs 20 years to plateau. Okay. In fact, every time, for example, Microsoft upgrades their Windows software, the operating system, it's a big cycle. Usually that's maybe a 4 to 5 year cycle, right? Then comes the mobile platform. You have the iPhone started about 6 years ago. Then you realize that's a yearly thing. They have to change, and the iOS upgrades even more frequent. So that once maybe even 4 year cycle is not enough anymore. Things are getting faster and faster. Right? Then comes the wearable technology. 2 years ago in CES, you don't see any wearable talk, but this year in 2014, you get wearable everywhere. Okay, so technologies are going so fast, the cycle is going so fast that it's becoming very difficult to predict what the technology is where it's going to be next year and next year, because it's so fast. Smartphones went from maybe a 1.5-year cycle, now every 6 months. For example, Samsung's coming out with something new every 6 months, right? Or 6 to 8 months. The cycle is very fast. So the only thing that doesn't change is that because we have all these technology cycles, because we as consumers are demanding more and more. We want it to be mobile, we want it to be long battery power and all that stuff. We want to carry the technology with us. So the only common denominator is everybody shrinking everything smaller and smaller, so it's easier to carry, longer and longer battery life, everything. When things get smaller and smaller, how do we interface with these technology? That becomes a problem, right? So there's a trend that I observed a year ago or 2 years ago. It was surprising to me. Usually we see technology get smaller and smaller, but now people are actually asking for the smartphone to be a little bigger screen. They actually want it to be a little bigger, because when it's too small, it's hard to read and interface. So bigger screen has an advantage. But then bigger screen means you have to have bigger pocket to put them in. It burns more power or something like that. So eventually, all that will have to continue to go down. So our sensor plays a very vital role. Our technology and our algorithms, how the human feels in a sense. We can assist in how to interface with these gadgets. So maybe someday you don't need to carry such a bulky phone. If you don't need a screen, let's say the screen can be projected somewhere, then you can just carry a little thing, and all you need to do is interface with it through your contact. You don't have to type or anything like that. So my view of the world is our technology will become wearable instead of mobile and carried, but more wearable, and they'll be worn around us, in our clothing, in our watch, or in glasses or something. Even the shoes can have technology. Anything you wear can carry technology. So my view is our technology biosensor will be the contact point, will be the interface point of all these technologies that's to come. And eventually we'll go back to normal. We just wear our clothes. People don't even see the technology, but they're there.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you do in Korea? Are you focusing on education applications?
In Korea we have 2 areas that we focus on, and we're now planting the seeds. Hopefully we get to see good fruit coming out. Education for sure, and the second one is actually health and fitness. And we're working very closely with several large Korean enterprises and companies to make sure we can provide our technology. But in every country, especially of course in Korea, there are different ways of using, different cultures of using technology. So we can't say this is American way and just put it in Korea. For example, Koreans have different culture and different ways to view how they want to use technology. And so we fully respect that, and we understand the only Korean companies have those know-hows, what the market wants. So we collaborate with them how they want to use this technology. So I can tell you there are 2 targets. One is education, one is health and fitness. But as far as how it's being deployed, I think we rely on our partners in Korea to tell us how to do that.
So just to finalize, are you optimistic or pessimistic about the future of humanity and these technologies to interact between people and machines?
I'm very optimistic. I'm usually very optimistic about everything, but especially technology. If you look at internet and sensors and mobile technology, there's no borderline for humans. I can send a message around the world in less than 1 nanosecond. Boom, it's over there. I can now connect with anyone on the planet. There's not really a borderline. To me, the whole world is one country. You have, yes, we physically have all these borderlines for different countries, but when I connect with my customers, I don't feel like there's a borderline. Right? We talk to them, they come here, we go there. We were constantly in communication. And in the old days, I had to sit on the phone to talk to them. Now, I don't even need to sit at my desk. They can text me anytime. They can use all kinds of media to reach me. So I'm very optimistic that the whole world is becoming more and more so, more harmonious, and we understand each other more because we're taking the cultural barrier down with technology. And when you maintain your culture, but you also have better understanding of other people's culture. So this way, through technology, we understand each other more. Then there will be a lot less misunderstandings and more harmonious coexistence. And that's what I see. So technology is really doing that for us, and that's why I'm very optimistic.
Okay, thank you very
Thank you.
much for your interview.
감사합니다.
감사합니다.